Hey, what's up? This is Allegra here. 2022 has been a bit of a weird year so far for sneaker releases. It feels like there's not really been any single massive release that the whole community's got mega hyped over, and it feels like everybody has to have. Yeah, we've had some Yeezy re-releases or whatever, but I feel like your real sneaker enthusiast is not going to be too excited by those nowadays. The good news is though, is instead there's been a variety of different interesting collaborations and other limited releases which might be worth your time. Let's take a look then at some cool recent releases with a focus on the more underrated stuff, maybe things that you haven't come across. I guarantee you there's going to be at least one thing in this video that you haven't seen before. And don't forget to let me know your favorites in the comments, because maybe I'll pick something up from this video and do more of an in-depth review. But with such a big list of potential cool sneakers, I'm going to want to put them all in one place so I can make my decision, assemble a squad Avenger style, and to do that, we're going to be making use of today's paid sponsor, Karma. And if you're a sneaker purchasing fiend like myself, I mean look, I buy multiple colorways of the same shoe, then listen up because it's super easy to use. First thing you got to do, download yourself the Karma browser extension. It's ridiculously quick and free, obviously. Then when you're visiting your favorite store, what is this here? It's the Karma button, ready to help you save whatever you're looking at. Pick your size, pick your color, and choose whether to be notified if it drops in price or if it comes back in stock. Then you definitely want to be keeping things organized by saving it to a dedicated list. You can see that I've made one for this video, so I've got a bunch of cool new sneaker releases right here for my buying pleasure. Oh, and when you do come to actually buy stuff, Karma will scan for coupon codes at the checkout so that you don't have to. Make sure that you're always getting the best price on this stuff. And if that's not blessing enough, select retailers give cash back both to you and to a cause of your choice. So if that sounds interesting, there's going to be a link in the description. Give it a go, see if you find it useful. So you too can make your sneaker purchasing organized, planned, but you end up just buying too much stuff anyway. But on to the first pair of sneakers. I've been eyeing up the new Asics and GMBH Gel Quantum 360. This is building off the success of a couple of previous collabs, and you'll see that they've kept the same kind of pattern and theme going on of one sneaker being different to the other and having these flipped color schemes, but with some brand new options this time, swapping out the sort of high contrast off-white and black to these gold and silver colorways. It looks like so far, these released last week, they're still hanging around in some sizes and some colors. The gold ones seem to be the most popular overall, although I really like the sour yuzu hits of the silver colorway. Pretty unique finish with a mismatch left and right, and based on my experience with Asics so far, I've no doubt that these are probably going to be quite comfortable, so not a bad purchase overall. And I'm always in favor of being a little bit more on the flashy side than more on the subdued side when it comes to these kinds of shoes. If we're talking offbeat running sneakers, the On Running and Loewe collab dropped last week. On has seen absolutely massive growth in the last couple of years in the running community. Lots of easy to wear styles, day-to-day comfort, good performance features too. I think they look pretty decent overall, if not massively exciting. So to collaborate with Loewe, Spanish luxury fashion brand, who I think have also kind of risen to more prominence or been gathering more interest in the last year or so. It's a collaboration that might give On some additional exposure in the fashion community. There's a couple of different colorway and model choices here. I like the darker blue version of the Cloud Venture with that gradient finish being totally new to On. Unfortunately, that Loewe branding has pushed the price of these up north of $300, which is quite a lot more than your regular On running shoe. So if you're not a Loewe fan, you may prefer to stick to the non-collab version. But for Loewe, I suppose this is more on the affordable side. We'd be remiss though not to talk about the accompanying clothing collection. I know this is a sneaker video, I just can't help myself because it looks so darn good. If you buy yourself the full running outfit, yep, you're probably going to bankrupt yourself, but you're going to get this sweet, consistent gradient that goes right down from the head to the toes. I love this kind of blue to kind of rusty to a light brown gradient that they've got on one of these. It just looks great. Inspired by the sun, fading garments, I think that's very cool, drawing attention to that relationship between the natural world and man-made performance running gear and sort of our place in nature, I suppose. Kind of interesting to have a concept behind this kind of collaboration. If anything, the sneakers are only a small taste of what this full collection represents. Hopefully though, we see On continue to experiment and collaborate with different brands and try some new fashion-forward stuff. The Reebok and Eames collab from last year was a little bit of a sleeper hit, bringing the homeware brand's obsession with form and iconic pared-back design to a classic Reebok sneaker, literally. And they followed this up with a couple of Club C models which instead play with patterns. I particularly like this colorway here using Roy Eames signature on the side and this slightly watery looking pattern which runs over both shoes. Right at home with the essential mid-century aesthetic the pair are renowned for. Pretty available, not too expensive, and they also come in quite a nice box, which I secretly always quite like with any collaboration. This isn't the only Reebok collab though. Another Margiela one sees them updating the Classic and the Club C with a torn apart upper and label tag here as well, where the Reebok logo has kind of literally been ripped apart, revealing the Margiela stuff underneath. It serves as an appropriate sequel to the Trompe l'oeil stuff from last year, which was a direct reference to a printing technique used on quite a few classic pieces of Margiela clothing. Well, this is a more subtle take, I guess, on the deconstruction trend. So these would make a fine pair of ultra wearable beaters, take them out every day, but to anyone looking up close, you can still see those really fine details, which definitely differentiate this shoe from the regular Classic or Club C. You've got to be able to stomach the high retail price, of course, but you can bet that these are going to boast an elevated construction quality as well, making these that little bit better than your regular Classic or Club C. And hopefully, in similar fashion to previous Reebok collaborations, we will see some of these hit sales as well and take a little bit of cash off the top. I did a whole video about the ACS Pro Advanced, but it's clearly a model that Salomon are betting on because we've had quite a few new colorways release in the last month, all of which I think came and went pretty quickly. We've got a couple of more retro inspired colorways. We've got a very clean all black version as well. So Salomon are slowly rounding out the available options in this new silhouette. Those more retro colorways directly inspired by the GCS model that preceded these shoes. So quite cool that they're making those direct references there. But of course, if you want things to be a little bit more modern, a bit more technical, there are some options there for you too. And if that sounds like an interesting shoe, then definitely watch the full video on those. You can bet though, with their apparent popularity, that there's only going to be more colorways of this releasing. So if none of those float your boat or you don't want to pay resale for any of those, then keep an eye out anyway, because by this point we've got loads of XT4s and XT6. So no doubt that ACS will be joining the ranks of having every color under the sun available eventually. More performance looking hiking sneakers come from Nike ACG with the Air Mada, an easy to wear, quietly retro model that I think is going to appeal to people who want that sort of more retro silhouette without the crazy or more over the top looks that you'll find in the rest of the ACG line, like the Moabs and some of those other recent releases. I was also very surprised to see the Vans Volt and Taka Hayashi Amazon Trailhead. I had no idea this model even existed. They certainly look very different to your regular pair of Vans, but fit right into that retro hiking gorpcore trend that is so prevalent at the moment. So this one is definitely going to appeal to people who kind of want to fit in with those kinds of trends, or maybe they like this new gorpcore aesthetic, but want something that's a little bit different to what everyone else is going to be wearing, maybe a little bit harder to identify as well, because, you know, these don't have sort of that much Vans branding or anything like that. I also really like this berry colorway that they've gone for here. It's real kind of rich and saturated, but still with all these nice different tones. Yeah, it's just something that's a little bit off the beaten track and kind of cool, but kind of low-key at the same time. The New Balance 2002 R Protection Pack was very much a surprise hit from last year. They were super popular. I think you've got to spend quite a lot to get those on StockX and whatever now. So yes, there's going to be more colorways of this dropping soon. I'm not going to lie, most of these I don't like as much as the originals, but I am glad that they're deciding to mix things up and do some different colorways rather than just re-releasing those ones which were probably more popular than New Balance anticipated. I did, however, also see a white gum version of these. An image just surfaced last week, I think. No idea if these are going to release at the same time as those other brighter colorways like the pink and the purple and the orange, or if they're going to come a little bit later and be separate. But either way, I think that's the colorway to keep a lookout for. Here's a brand we've never talked about, Mizuno, but their collab last month with Eames definitely caught my eye, and this is a total conversion from the regular Wave Rider 10 that this is based on. The standard lacing system has been replaced with this inverted tongue, and the otherworldly grey-green colour works super nicely with the heavy panel detailing that you'll see across the midsole and over the upper as well. I think these are not far off looking like a Balenciaga release or something, with that real kind of chunky, over-the-top look about them, which is something that I wouldn't necessarily expect from Eames, but I'm here for it. Speaking of which, I've got to include the Balenciaga Defender, aka the New Balance with added tyre. I just think they do such a good job with taking any trend and kind of turning the dial up to 11. These, of course, being very representative of the chunky trail hiker gorpcore shoe, but injected with American Soldier serum. We can't forget the Xpander either, which I appreciate are not necessarily new, but I really just want to have a go in these and just have a bounce on them because they look super fun to play in. On the off chance you're not sick of seeing the words Nike and Sacai together, yes, there's going to be even more Nike and Sacai shoes. Another blazer low to be exact, this time coming in 2 different patent colorways. So yep, they're going to be nice and shiny in fairly wearable, I suppose, black and white versions. I'm not gonna lie, this is not my favorite Nike and Sacai release, but hey, I wanted to mention them anyway. I'm sure they will appeal to some people, but personally I prefer the previous blazer lows to these ones. So you can't accuse me of ignoring Adidas. We're featuring the South Park pack, recently unveiled, only because I think cartoon collabs are normally pretty funny, and I like it when these brands get creative and really imbue their shoe with the sort of spirit of the show in some way, or really taking the essence of those characters and putting them into a model in a way that's kind of fun. They actually come out on March 21st. Hopefully they're still available by the time this video goes live. Big fan of the Professor Chaos NMD R1s. They look pretty horrendous, but I like the close relationship with the character that they've got there with those foil elements. I think that's pretty cool. And the Stan Smith, or the South Park take on the Stan Smith rather, I think is quite fun. Even though I would still prefer the American Dad Stan Smiths, but that release was many years ago now. It seems like the world forgot about the ongoing collaboration between Rick Owens and Converse following the first release, the Turbo Dark, that came out last year. I actually bought a pair, but they sent me the wrong ones, and they were a little bit too small anyway, so I didn't end up keeping them. But I did kind of like them for providing exactly what a collaboration should, a taste of both brands kind of put together, and at a more palatable price point. £160, far cheaper than even the cheapest of the Rick Owens Dark Shadow shoes. The Turbo weapon kind of came and went without much buzz, and now we have the third release, the Dark Star, which again, no one really seems to be talking about. But for me, it looks like it falls exactly between the Converse Chuck Taylor and the Rick Owens Dark Shadow high tops. Could there be a more appropriate entry-level piece for wannabe Rick Owens disciples? But yeah, it seems like people are not really that interested. Maybe, I mean, they don't quite have that weird defining feature like the Turbo Darks did. They are a little bit expensive versus regular Converse. Who knows, but if this aesthetic is your vibe, but you don't want to be shelling out for mainline Rick Owens or even Rick Owens Dark Shadow, then definitely keep this model in mind. Who knows, maybe they will hit the sales and you can get them for even less. You just gotta remember, if someone comments on your big Converse, you can't clap back, you just have to look down and be sad, because that is literally what you're wearing. The Asics and Kiko Kostadinov collaborations have been pretty long running now. There's a whole bunch of different models, and something they started doing more recently was these shoes that are released sort of with input from the Kiko design studio, but not an official collab. And the most recent one to come under that kind of umbrella, I suppose, is the HNS2 Protoblast. Now, I picked up the earlier release, the UB2S Gel 1130, and I found them pretty comfy overall, and I liked that sort of Martian-inspired colour palette, but they've done something pretty different with the Protoblasts here. Very eye-catching colourway, that's for sure, combined with this real futuristic-looking silhouette. These might not suit your average sneakerhead, but if you want to make a bit of an impression, then these could be the ones for you. I feel like these appeal to a bit of a sneaker patrician, someone that really values the fact that, oh yeah, these were created kind of with the Kiko design studio, or the fact that the midsole is based on the Nova Blast, but it's got elements from the Gel 100 and the Gel Hoop 6 on the upper. It's kind of lots of different ideas and things that are coming together for one slightly unusual shoe. It's got a bit of a story, and that means it's a silhouette that overall you're not going to see around that much. So if you're someone that's allergic to the 1000th colorway of Dunks or Jordan 1s or whatever releasing, then maybe these bad boys are the perfect antidote. If you want something really weird though, and as of yet unreleased, Balmain's head of sneaker design, Safa Sahin, has been teasing on his Instagram over the last several months now, a brand new silhouette that he's been working on. They look nothing short of insane. A ridiculously chunky silhouette overall, with these different elements, mixed materials and textures looking like they've been inflated in various ways. Based on the videos he's put out so far as well, they look insanely cushioned, so I bet they're mega fun to walk around in. He's described them as being called Unicorn, not 100% sure if that's the model name or he's describing the colorway name in that image, but either way, expect these to drop later this year and to go crazy hard in some more avant-garde outfits. I love how the conventional sneaker design has been totally abandoned in favor of something new. This truly is an experiment, already with some very cool looking colorway options, and it's something that I feel like few brands would even attempt. To be honest, I'm pretty surprised that these are coming from Balmain. It's not really an aesthetic I would associate with them, but I'm always in favor of experimentation. I'm very interested to see these out in the wild and see them styled in all kinds of various ways, even if the price tag is probably going to be befitting of the luxury fashion status and their high concept nature. And with that, we've covered an absolutely huge amount of ground, so time for you guys to tell me, A, which of these sneakers was your absolute favorite, or if you've already picked any of them up already, and B, is there a recent or upcoming release that you think that I missed? If so, definitely add that to the comments. It's going to be super helpful for anyone else browsing through and wanting some more sneaker recommendations, so thanks in advance for doing that. And if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like, that is mega helpful as well. And shout out to Sam T, soon to be a card-carrying member of the Hamkus cult. This always seems to happen, people just buy one thing and then they end up getting more and more and just going full sci-fi warrior. And thanks again to Karma for being the paid sponsor of the video. If you want to check that out, there's a link in the description. Thanks for making it all the way to the end. If you want to check out some more cool stuff, there's going to be links going up at the top. Maybe some more sneaker videos coming out soon. Definitely some more techwear stuff coming out soon. I'll put together a little like recent pickups type thing, some spring stuff that you can enjoy. So yeah, keep an eye out for that one. We'll see you soon.